A Fistful of Gold. Vinayak lived in a small town where life moved slowly under the warm sun. He was a simple young man with a gentle spirit, and everyone in the village affectionately called him Fatty Vinayak. He lived in a modest house with his grandmother, who looked after him with great care and shared her wisdom with him every day. Grandma wanted Fatty to take up a job and earn his keep. "Go out and find work," she said one morning, her voice filled with practical concern. "Be satisfied if you can bring home even a fistful of money. That is all we need to be happy and fed." Fatty went out looking for a suitable job. On a dusty road outside the village, he stopped a lean, travel-worn man who was carrying a small bundle. "Sir," Fatty addressed him politely, "could you give me a job? My grandmother says I must find work and earn a fistful of money." The traveler realized he was dealing with a very simple-minded fellow and decided to play a trick. Smirking sarcastically, he pointed toward the low bushes at the side of the road where a small ground lizard was sunning itself. "There is your master," the traveler mocked. "Ask that lizard for a job." Fatty looked at the lizard. It was a tiny thing, but to Vinayak, who took everything literally, it looked like a very important guide. The lizard jerked its head and looked back at him with its beady eyes. Vinayak stepped off the road to follow the creature into the tall grass. Eagerly, Fatty ran toward the lizard, but the creature was quick. It scurried away and disappeared into a small, dark hole in the ground. "Ah, so you have gone home," Fatty thought. "I must visit you there to talk about my new duties." He went back home to fetch his spade and a long iron poker. Returning to the bushes, he began to dig at the spot where the lizard had vanished. He worked for hours under the midday sun, his face gleaming with sweat as he moved large piles of earth. After several hours of such digging, Fatty Vinayak's spade struck a hard, metallic object. Clang! He dropped to his knees and used his hands to clear away the remaining soil, revealing the corner of a heavy, square object buried deep in the pit. He reached into the hole and brought out a rusty iron box. When he pried it open, his eyes grew wide. Inside were hundreds of shimmering gold coins. He remembered his grandma's words, "A fistful of money," so he took only a few pieces and carefully reburied the box. When Vinayak returned home, he showed his grandmother the gold. "Look, Grandma, the lizard gave me a job and I brought home a fistful of money." Grandma gasped, seeing the grubby fingers of her grandson clutching the ancient gold pieces. After hearing the whole story, Grandma knew they had found a great fortune that must be protected. She hurried to the spot with a large cloth, dug up the rusty iron box, and carried the heavy treasure back home herself under the cover of the evening shadows. Back home, she turned to Fatty and told him to keep their find a secret. Vinayak didn't mind at all. He was happy to have followed his grandmother's instructions. He just smiled and nodded his head rhythmically, like a round tandoori doll.